Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone to part 2 of favorite PC cards from around the hobby. Probably end up doing one more, so this will be part 2 of 3. A lot of great, nice stories here. Some really nice father-son stuff, and yeah, let's check it out. This was sent in by Josh from Josh Hall of Fame Cards on Instagram. He wrote, "I'm a man in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and I work in the treatment industry helping others to recover. When I was young, I worked at a card shop. I had built up quite a collection. The first card I ever sold in my addiction for drugs was a 1986 Fleer, Michael Jordan rookie. It was very nice, centered well. I would say it was an 8.5, but I sold it for $120 and I bought 1 ounce of marijuana. That was the beginning of what would be 20 years of addiction to meth, alcohol, and heroin, and the subsequent selling of all the cards over those years. Fast forward to 2017, and at this point after treatment, I was in recovery 4 years and doing really well. I began looking at cards on eBay. I'd been saving money just a little every month and had built up about $5,000 in my savings. I decided I really wanted a Jordan rookie, and I finally bought this Michael Jordan pictured here. Jordan rookie was the first card sold in my addiction and the first card in my recovery. It was really hard not to sell this card when it hit over $30,000 in 2021, but for sentimental reasons I did not. Might be dumb, but I'm a collector and I did not need the money. For me, the card is a symbol of my recovery. I will always hold on to it and will pass it down to my nephews. Fast forward again, and I've done very well in the hobby and have enjoyed the hell out of it. Recovery has been amazing. I will be 10 years sober on April 29th. I own so many of the great cards I only dreamt about as a kid." This one's sent in by John, who wrote, "Here is a card I really like and waited a long time to buy. It was 2018 and I decided that I really wanted to acquire the 1948 Leaf Babe Ruth card. As a trained graphic designer, I've always appreciated the simple and bold design of the 1948 Leaf cards, which is particularly cool on the Ruth, and as a pretty serious baseball card collector, it seemed destined for my collection if I could ever afford one. I found this one on eBay, which I had watched but not bid on, and then saw it relisted due to a non-paying bidder. It was a lot of money for me back in 2018, but I've never regretted buying it, and I look at it regularly with a big smile on my face." This was sent in by Ian, who wrote, "This is my 1980 Rickey Henderson rookie card. It means a lot to me because I'm a huge A's fan and my dad's favorite player is Rickey Henderson, and this was the first card that came into my collection when I was about 8 years old. And even though it's not expensive nor a high-grade card, it's very meaningful to me. I've been collecting for over 15 years of my life now, and I have to thank my dad for bringing me into this hobby when I was younger, from going to the local shows in the mall, the junk wax era being so cheap, that I could afford any box for $20, and I always looking for that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie or David Robinson rookie, to my dad trying to make me choose baseball cards over Pokemon cards at Target. I will never forget those memories and how much fun collecting is. I have sold so many cards over the years and people wanting this card, but this card is staying in my PC for life. Thank you, Dad. Love you." This was sent in by Phil, who wrote, "In February of 2022, I lost my grandfather. We shared a common interest in sports that extended to card collecting. This was a special bond for us because no one else in my immediate family had the slightest interest in sports. Grandpa collected mainly NFL and NASCAR, while I almost did exclusively baseball. My mother was executor of the estate, which included thousands of cards, memorabilia, and die-cast cards. She asked if I'd be willing to sort and sell his collection on her behalf. She also said that I'm welcome to keep any cards for my efforts. Over the past year, I've spent a significant amount of time sorting, researching, and selling the collection. At times it was painful but mainly I was grateful to be able to spend so much time immersed in this wonderful collection my grandfather had put together. As of March 2023, almost the entire collection has been sold or donated, aside from a few of the more valuable cards listed on eBay, and 3 that I chose to keep for myself. The 3 I picked were raw cards that I submitted to PSA to preserve them and are now all displayed prominently on my desk. These are cards that will never leave my collection and serve as a wonderful reminder of our shared passion for cards. I know you really want us to pick one, so I'm cheating a bit here, but including 3 pictures. But if you choose one to include, please pick the Peyton Manning, as he was my favorite grandfather's favorite quarterback. It's truly a testament to my grandfather's meticulous collecting that cards this old were able to grade 9s and 10s. This was sent in by David, who wrote, "When I first got into collecting cards, I was a kid in the 80s, and my dad was not the biggest fan. The allowance I got from doing chores went right to buying cards, but his opinion was they're just cardboard, and they aren't worth anything unless you sell them. Fast forward a few years, and out of nowhere, he came home one day and gave me this card. At the time, it was ungraded. He was a Red Sox fan, having grown up outside of Boston, but I was really surprised and shocked. I had no vintage cards, just 80s and 90s stuff, so this was my oldest card by far, and being a Red Sox fan, I knew of Carl Yastrzemski, but I'd never seen him play. Fast forward to last year, and sadly my dad passed away. I sent this card to PSA to get slabbed for protection. This is something I will keep forever. I get a laugh thinking about how he didn't want me spending money on cards, but he bought me a really neat one nevertheless. I wonder if he went into a card store looking for a Yaz specifically, or if he just looking around and picked that card. I'll never know, but as an aside, my dad got to play in a charity golf tournament with Yaz one time. He got this baseball signed by him made out to me. He said it was known that Yaz always requested to drive alone in his golf cart so he could cheat. I always found that funny as well. This one's sent in by Dylan, who wrote, my favorite card in my collection is this Nathan Knight Green Pulsar Auto out of 25 PSA 10. It's far from my most valuable card, but it easily means the most to me. I'm working on completing the rainbow of this card, but I chose this one because it's a really cool color match, and it's numbered to 25. I went to the law school at William & Mary during the same time Nathan Knight played basketball there. William & Mary is one of only 4 teams to have been eligible for every NCAA men's tournament and never to have made a single appearance. During my time at William & Mary, we had our most promising chance at finally making the tournament. The team was 21-11 and had this star, Nathan Knight, a future NBA player for the Atlanta Hawks and currently on the Timberwolves. However, that season was the COVID year, and COVID forced NCAA to cancel the tournament. We will never know if William & Mary would have made the tournament, but we can safely say it was their closest the team has ever gotten and will for a while. Lately, they have been 7-10, 5-27, and 13-20 in the season since then. There's only one active William & Mary player in the NBA, Nathan Knight. It's not surprising since they've only had a total of 4 NBA players of all time. It features the William & Mary logo. This has to be one of the only cards to feature the logo, and it represents a great time in my life, hope for the impossible, and a representation of a small school in Virginia that does not have a lot going for it in the basketball department. This was sent in by Sam, who wrote, my Uncle Paul got me into the hobby when I was young, and he gifted me many cards over the years, but my favorite being the Sandy Koufax rookie that I had graded last year. My dad, however, never really understood the hobby and even at times discouraged me from spending money on it, but one Christmas I bought him this autograph of John Stockton, which is his all-time favorite athlete, and I gave it to him with a letter. He gave me the classic "Thank you, son," and for years I could not find the card. I assumed he had thrown it away or put it in a box somewhere, but one day I picked up his wallet and found the Stockton auto with the letter which he had kept on him for all these years. He may not have understood the value, the numbering, or the autograph on the card, all things we in the hobby take seriously, but he understood the sentimental value, and it was a bonding moment between us. And even though it is now a little crushed and the autograph is fading, it is my favorite basketball card in my collection. It's amazing how the hobby can bring people together, even those who don't understand it. This was sent in by Spencer, who wrote, I was 9 years old in 1966, and my dad bought me my first pack of baseball cards, and like a Gosling imprinted by the first image it sees, this card had such an effect on me so that to this day, I can close my eyes and go back to the year and see this card. Joe Pepitone was my guy, and despite the fact that the Yankees finished last in 66, ninth in 67, and not much better in 68 or 69, I stayed loyal to them and him. In 1970, Joe was gone off to Houston and then the Cubs, and I was turning my attention to girls, but I still had one eye on baseball, and when I read Ball 4, which came out in 1970, I read with interest about Joe's obsession with his hair. In 1975, Joe resurfaced appearing mostly nude in a Foxy Lady magazine, and years later in the 80s, Joe popped up in the news with a story of his arrest for cocaine and firearms possession. So my childhood hero was turning out to be a flesh and blood human being after all. Yet despite, or perhaps because of this personal history, he still remains my hero, and it gave me pause to read in the news today that Joe had died just yesterday, March 13th, 2023. I paid $1,500 for this PSA 10, one of only 3 10s in existence, and I will never sell it, much like I would never sell a family photo. This was sent in by Stefan, who wrote, my favorite card in my collection is this Frank Clark Prizm 2020 1 of 1. I bought this card back in February 2021. It was my first 1 of 1 card ever. My favorite part about the card is that it features a picture from Super Bowl 54, the Chiefs' first Super Bowl win in 50 years. Frank Clark is my favorite player, and he played a huge role in that team and got at least 1 sack in every playoff game on that run, and 5 in those 3 games in total. He is 3rd all-time in NFL history in postseason sacks with 13.5. Since I've got the 101, I tried to put the whole rainbow together. There are 40 different versions of the card, and I currently have 39 of them, only needing the blue shimmer first off the line out of 25, which I have not found in my over 2 years of searching. Hope I can find it one day. This card represents my favorite part about the hobby, which is the continued search for specific rare cards. I love to wake up every day and open up eBay for that very slim chance that the card I need comes up for sale. As a fellow collector from Europe, I'm from Germany. I know your struggles with getting cards from the US and not attending many card shows. Congrats on your move back. This one's sent in by Matt, who wrote, unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2015. I had thought to myself numerous times how much fun it would be to now open hobby boxes with Pops. I would have loved to see his face whenever he pulled a big hit. Fast forward to March of 2020, my wife and I decided to move into my parents' old place. No one was living there and the pandemic had just started. After we finished moving, I decided to treat myself to a box of 2013 Fleer Retro. My first weekend there, I got up early so that I could relax and enjoy opening some packs. I was about halfway through the box and in complete disbelief when I pulled an on-card auto of Jerry Rice. For me, this was the pull of a lifetime. I had opened thousands of packs prior, but this was literally the first box of cards I opened in my dad's old place. I'm not a religious person by any means, but this made me feel like I got a visit from Pops, like a trip back in time, doing our favorite thing together. I miss my dad a lot, and it's nice having this wonderful gift as a constant reminder that he is always with me. This was sent by John, who wrote, I was born in the mid-50s and started collecting in 1960. I grew up watching Mantle, Mays, Clemente, and all the greats of the period. I have many of their cards from the 60s and enjoy them as works of art, but my absolute favorite card is the 1993 Action Pack number 168, Abbott and Costello. I remember sitting at the dinner table on Sundays while the local TV station played movies of Abbott and Costello. In a movie called The Naughty 90s, they performed a skit reviewing the players of the St. Louis Wolves. Who played first, what played second, I don't know, played third. It was a hilarious skit, and they even performed it for presidents. My friends and I reenacted the skit over and over, just like the comedic duo. I was 40 when this card came out in 1993, and the moment I pulled it from a pack, all the memories of watching the comedians in my families and friends came rushing back. The card shows Abbott in a period baseball uniform, and the back shows all the players of the team and the positions they play. The card's not worth much, but it reminds me of the time when I was a child and life was easier. Matters of great importance were limited to who was better, Mantle or Aaron. Those memories are worth more than any piece of cardboard. My bucket list includes going to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame and seeing the skit performed there. This was sent by JD, who wrote, my wife and I are lifelong San Jose Sharks fans. Our favorite player is Mark-Edward Vlasic, has been since he came into the league as a 19-year-old baby-faced kid. His nickname is Pickles because of the Vlasic Pickle Company. As we became empty nesters, we got a pet bird to help fill the holes left by our kids. When we got her, the choice for her name was obvious, Pickles. This year, Upper Deck SP Game Used came out with the embroidered and history cards, and Pickles was in the set. I just had to have it. I overpaid for it, but that didn't matter. He is our favorite player, and she is our spoiled, rotten, feathered bird. There are only 2 untouchable cards in my collection, this one and my 1986 Fleer basketball set. Thanks for the opportunity to tell the story. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching, and hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And again, thank you everyone for all the great submissions. I'm going to probably do one more of these, so there'll be a part 3 perhaps in a few weeks or so. So hope to see you all then. Thanks everyone.